Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Good morning and greetings to everyone for joining us on this solemn occasion. ICAI, an institute, not only holds a legacy for being the world's second largest body and the largest professional accounting body of India, but also molds young minds and bold hearts to become the professional individuals.
Today, we take immense pleasure to rejoice the achievements of our young, inspirational and budding CAs who have worked tirelessly and achieved laurels of success.
We feel that clearing CA exam is a great task in itself, but getting a rank, an incredible feat. Your part of success will be remembered and will be your beacon of light for the forthcoming students who strive for excellence in their journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have the eminent personalities with us who have endeavored towards upholding the institutional values.
We now request the chairman of ICAI to escort the chief guest on the dais. We request to welcome the chief guest with a bouquet of flowers.
We also request the chairperson to come on to the dais. We further request the CICASA secretary to join us on the dais. We also request all the rank holders to please join us on the dais. May we now request CA Pattabhi, CICASA chairperson of Bengaluru, branch of SIRC of ICAI, to welcome the gathering and set the context for the youth.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to one and all, and thank you for taking this time out and coming here. CA is one of the most sought after professions in the country. In fact, and the CA exam is also equally tough. In the recent Supreme Court judgment, in fact, when Supreme Court referred to the toughness of the exam and asked other professions to look at the way the exams are conducted. So, does that scare you, the people who are writing to your exam? No, it should not. Why? Because the success, the bond for success what you have today is much larger than the fear what you should have. So therefore, the fear you should be able to overcome the fear. And just this, does the statement alone help you to overcome the fear? No. We have the experts who will be helping you to and giving their tips to help you to clear the exams successfully, whether it is intermediate or final exams of CA, and also how to overcome the fear. So it gives me, today we have an expert, CA Pattabhi from Chennai, who was kindly consented to be here and come all the way to address you and give his, being an expert and being a senior professional, to give his views and tips to clear the exams successfully without any fear. So I welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. The next, the rankers who have successfully cleared their respective exams, and like the way it was mentioned, securing a rank in CA exam is not so easy. That means they have done something different. So what is that they have done something different? Can you take home something? Yes, you could. So they are here, they have taken their time out to come and address you all and to give their view, their side of the view to you all and help you out in clear the exams. So I thank each one of you for taking this time out and being here. Welcome. course, any program in Bangalore branch will be under the guidance of the chairman of Bangalore branch of SIRC. So CAT Srinivas is here. I welcome him wholeheartedly for this event. Senior professional from the and very well-known personality among the students, CA Ram sir is here. I welcome you also, sir. Yes, these programs are meant for you. Without your participation, there is no way we can plan anything or do anything. So thank you all for taking this time out. I know you are all under pressure, every hour matters to you. But then despite that, you have consented to be here. I welcome you all wholeheartedly and thank you for being here. I see some parents here who have also come, the parents and faculty. Thank you and welcome to all of you for being here. So this day will be a day of erudite and learning for all of you. I hope you will have a good day and lot of takeaways from throughout the session. So we're welcoming all of you once again here and thank you.
Thank you for that warm welcome, ma'am.
Now, may we request CA Srinivas, Chairman of Bangalore branch of SIRC of ICI to address the students.
Most respected Guru P. Pattabhi sir, Chairperson Sikasa Kavita, Managing Committee members of Sikasa, Senior Member of Profession Ram sir, my dear students, happy morning to you all. Great energy I think you are carrying today. Goods, I welcome you all for the Rankers Meet. It's a unique program. Then the first time we conducted in Bangalore branch in 2018 when I was Sikasa chairman, and consistently we are doing it. But because of last 2 years pandemic, we are not able to do. Again, when our chairperson Kavita took over, I suggested her immediately. She took interest and she did this program. See, regarding Rankers Meet, as I say, it's a meet of the rankers. Rankers, for some people, I forgot to welcome our key people, that rankers of this meeting. Welcome you all. Give them a big round of applause. Rankers Meet I call because you are all rankers. You are all the capability to achieve the rank. Rankers, they have set the standards in institute. If you get this much of marks, you are a ranker. In your personal life, you are all rankers because you are set. Even clearing is a CA, is a rank for you, for your parents and your surroundings. The way you have come up in your life, or so many other reasons. That is the reason I say it's a meet of rankers. And say it's primarily because to organize this Rankers Meet to motivate all of you. How rankers, they have achieved the target. It's not a one-day efforts. They have toiled day and night. With lot of efforts, they have achieved that goal. Once again, give them a big round of applause. Consistent hard work, efforts, paid the fruit. If you ask in your discussion after this inaugural session, you ask them, they are not just cleared preparing for an exam days or before the exams. No, they worked. Some may be taken studied for 12 hours, some may be 14 hours, some may be studied for 6 hours based on the individual IQ. But without efforts, nothing will happen. But I will also say that it is not possible. It is not an impossible task. CA means is certainly achievable If you aim for the star, at least you will be moon. That should be your aim. You should target like that. Generally I see students, Abba, if I get 50, if I get clear, that's enough. If you aim for 50, definitely you will get 30. Okay? That discount is there in NCA Institute. Now if you write 100 marks, you will, minimum discount is 30 to 40 for mega offer. That's kind of this thing. If you write at least 120 or something, you will reach near 70 to or 80. That is the way we always say that attempt for 100 marks. That is the reason we are called one-to-one interaction. See, this is the platform we can invite CS. If you go individually to meet any rankers, either they will be in their professional or personal busy. You cannot meet and discuss for half an hour or 1 hour. But we have created this platform. We are creating this opportunity to discuss with the rank holders, clarify whatever doubts, be in the group, then you will get motivated. But all the scenarios what they tell, it will not fit common for all. Individual perception, individual IQs, individual efforts will be different, but you can take a benchmark, how they achieve, how we can achieve. Based on our capacity, how we have to hit the target, how we have to prepare. That is the idea of creating this rankers and making all the rankers to come here. It's not an easy job because they will be busy in their professional life as well as personal life. But still, they have come just because of you, because of our request of branch and Sikasa. Make best use of it. You can ask as many questions as possible. Don't expect to somebody else to ask the question, then I will get my answer. No. It's a freely you can ask whatever doubts, you can clarify it. Okay. You make up your mind that even I should also get a rank because the world is very competitive now. Ordinary, just clear it off. No. You should be expert whatever the field you take. It's because day by day the profession is going very competitive. You should be expert whatever the field, the area you take for practice. Considering that, you should make best use of it, and you also should all let that. We can all say that yes we can. I say 3, 2, 1. Tell me. Yes, 3, 2, 1. Yes we can.
Yes we can.
Little louder. 3, 2, 1. Yes we can.
Yes we can.
Okay. Thank you. Happy learning to your audience.
Thank you for entrusting us with your warm welcome and with your warm advisor, sir. Thank you. A chartered accountant by profession and qualification, a writer by passion, and a teacher by accident. After a brief stint at a couple of corporates, where he has worked in the fields of corporate finance, capital market, and management accounting functions, he has shifted to a full-time CA practice. Today, he is a part of public accounting firm that he co-founded, Yoganand and Ram, is a multi-partner, multi-location firm with over a team of strength of 80 plus. He works on valuation, strategy, and also part of faculty team of Prime Academy, a CA training institution that he co-founded with 2 others. He has been into journalism, writing for newspapers and magazines to repute on contemporary issues. He has also authored a number of books, including co-authoring first lessons in strategic financial management for CA finance students, which was a ICAI recommended textbook. The other books include Roadmap, a self-help book for CA students, How to Get the Best Out of College for collegians, a career book titled CA to CEO. He co-wrote a biography on D. Rangaswamy, the chartered accountant. In 2019, 3 bio sketches were published. Nightingales is about 11 women CAs who overcome odds to rise to fame. Flying High in about 12 men CAs who shone in different walks of life. A Few Good Men is about 10 businessmen from different verticals. He He spoke at various seminars and workshops both in India and internationally.
So let us all join together and give a warm round of applause to our chief guest of the day, CA Pattabhi sir. Deepa Jyoti Parabrahma, Deepa Jyoti Janardhana, Deepo me haratu papam, Sandhya Deepa namostute.
I fold my hands before the Lord, the maintainer of this creation, in the form of this light. I adore this light which destroys all the pains resulting from my commissions and omissions.
May we now request all the dignitaries on the dais to join their hands in lighting of the lamp, thereby inaugurating the seminar.
सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शिवः सर्वे तनूनात्यकश्चन कश्चन एतद्वैत 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 एतद्वैत
Everyone's joy and pleasure requesting CA Pattabhi, our chief guest for today, to give us some tips and help us in acing our exams. The stage is all yours, sir.
Well, good morning to all of you. It's wonderful to be here in Bangalore, and I'm saying that not because that's the politically right thing to do, but I'm saying that largely because Srinivas was talking about how the rankers meet began in 2018. He did not tell you that in 2018 I was here. I was a speaker, okay? And I spoke, I think, the exact same thing. So if anyone by chance was here or from there I've come here, you have to forgive me, because unless I'm terribly mistaken, I'm going to speak almost as the same. Reason number two why I'm very happy is that this is the first time in the last 2.5 years that I'm going to address people, because last 2.5 years from the, I don't know, was it 18th of March or 24th of March, when the Prime Minister announced the lockdown, I said, oh, I will obey the Prime Minister of India. I've stayed at home right through then, right through till maybe August 2021, which is when I started actually going out. But then, even then, any public speaking has always been on Zoom so I'm very happy to be here. It looks very different now, not 2.5 years later, to see a bunch of people and talk to them is a very different experience altogether. I must first of all congratulate all the rank holders, because it is a very, very important milestone. It's a very, very important moment in their life. According to me, the key moments in people's life, first key moment in people's life is when they graduate. And graduation today for people who do their chartered accountancy is to finish their chartered accountancy. This is a very key moment. Getting a rank is very, very important. I'm not going to be, if you ask some of your seniors who know me, they will tell you I'm not the most diplomatic guy. So I'll right now tell the rank holders that when you look back 10 years from today, you will not think that this is a great event. Okay? At this point in time, it's very important. There's no true opinion about that. But 5 years later, 10 years later, it will just be a blip in that vast horizon of your life. There are a lot more things to do. When you step out from the academic world, when you step out of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and get down to working in what I call the big, bad world of business, you will realize that the many things that were taught to you are good. But some of the most important things, like how to work with people, how to get along with people, how to work with people whose IQ levels, if your IQ level is here, their IQ level is here, or the other way around, if your IQ level is here, their IQ level is up there, how to get along with all those people can be a very, very tough challenge. I'm not saying it's not going to be possible, but I'm only telling that those are the greater challenges that will come their way. For all of you on this side of the table, it's very important to aspire, like Srinivas said, aspire not just to crack the exam. Cracking the exam, according to me, is a given, notwithstanding whatever the judge in the Supreme Court would have said. Like the ladies and gentlemen here who have picked up a rank, it's important to pick up because it makes a difference. Because today, unlike the time when I qualified for the institute, today there are not many people who are passing out. And when a recruiter looks at it, he has to filter. There has to be a filtration process, because there is a company does not have job for everybody who applies. And one of the important filters will be whether a person has been academically good, whether a rank is a good indication of being academically good. So I would also like to believe that you must aspire to crack a rank. These are the boys and girls who have done it. You have the opportunity to talk to them. You don't have to necessarily do whatever they have done. Different people walk different ways towards success. There is a story that I tell people who come to capital market program, that there's a man called Warren Buffett. Okay? Warren Buffett's greatest achievement in the world, apart of the money that he has made for people, is that his portfolio has never, ever had more than 10 stocks. 9 stocks, 5 stocks, 3 stocks. That's the size of his portfolio. And he has helped people walk the distance to riches. On the other side, there is another man called, he wrote the book One Up on Wall Street. Somehow the name goes off my head. As I remember, I'll tell you. His name is Peter Lynch. Peter Lynch, the joke in the US is that name a stock and Lynch has it. Lynch's portfolio has 1,400 stocks in it. And Lynch has also done outstandingly well in the market. So different people walk completely different routes to success. Listen to them. If what they tell you appeals to you, apply them. If you think, no, there's a completely different way in which you want to do, please do that. Okay? This is what I wanted to tell you very briefly. I'll now move on to what I had conceptualized, and I wanted to talk to you about that. If you can put off a light here also, it will be nice, so that it will become a little easier for them to see. I can't see it from this side, so I don't know how it's coming up. So if it isn't coming up well, let me know. What I'm going to speak to you, is something that's not just true for your exam. It's also true for you in your corporate world or if you choose to work in a CA firm. And it is also true in whatever you do in life. I'll take about 25 minutes of your time. The clock there shows 10:40. By about 11:05, I'm trying to close it out. Okay? I call this success the Pepsi way. This has nothing to do with Indra Louis. This has nothing to do with your drinking Pepsi. It's just an acronym for 5 important attributes. And each one of those 5 letters, there is an attribute that I'm going to talk to you about. We'll try to use activities, we'll try to tell you some stories, and from there we'll try to pick them up. Okay? First, I want to begin with an activity. Activity is something that you sit there and do in your mind. Okay? Some of you might have heard this before. Either I might have spoken to you about it, or you might have heard it from different place. Nothing that I'm saying here in point number 1 is the original. If you know it, just be with it. Don't give out what is happening, etc. Okay? All of you like arithmetic?
Yes, sir.
You like geography? You like the English language? I'm not able to hear. Really, you like? But I thought all the CA students were not so great in maths. Is that correct? No means they are not good or they are good? They are good. All right. Anyway, I'm going to ask you 9 questions. Okay? I'm going to ask you 9 questions. And I want your answers in your mind. I don't want you to give out the answer. Please don't give out the answer. Today I don't remember. I think 5 questions are arithmetic, 3 questions are geography, and 1 question is English language. Okay? I want you to think, all this you will do in your mind. Forgive me for repeating. All this you will do in your mind. Think of a number which is less than 10. Any number from 0 to 10. Let it be a round number. So it will be easy for you to perform the arithmetic. Any number is okay with me, but it will be easy for you to perform the arithmetic. Less than 10, you have thought? There are no tricks being played, so don't get worried. I'm not going to ask anybody anything. Okay? So thought of a number? Multiply that number by 2. Done?
Yes, sir.
That's the level of mathematics that I'm talking about, or arithmetic. Okay? To the result you got, add 8. You got a new result. Divide that by 2. Got? Now you thought of a number initially. That number you subtract from the number that you now have with you. Done? Okay. I'll repeat. I asked you to think about a number, multiply it with 2, add 8, divide 2, subtract the original number. You now have a number with you, whatever number it be. I want you to pick up the equivalent English alphabet. If the number now with you is 26, the alphabet is Z. If the number now with you is 5, the alphabet is E. If the number now with you is 4, the alphabet is D. Got that? Okay, I've just put out some example out there for you to understand. Now you've got an alphabet with you, all of you. Think of a European country which starts with that alphabet. Done? Now pick up the last letter of the European country. Last letter of the European country, and think of an animal whose name starts with that last letter. Done? That animal can be from India, that animal can be from Australia, that animal can be from anywhere. Got? Yes or no? Now pick up the last letter. Don't get tired, okay? I know there are too many questions, but don't get tired. I know your attention spans are very small. Pick up the last letter of the name of the animal. Think of a fruit which starts with that alphabet. Done? Now, anybody who thought about Denmark? About kangaroo? And about orange? Great. Now, what is the moral of the story? I have never met you. I don't think any of you have met me. What is the moral of the story? Somebody very quickly. Yes? Don't tell me how I found out and all that. I want the moral of the story. Today you go and ask the same question to your mother, go ask your neighbor, go ask your teacher, ask anybody. You get Denmark, kangaroo, orange. There are some smart guys who will say polar bear, okay? But their IQ levels are different. Yeah, anybody? Anybody here? Yeah. Human brains think alike. Okay, all right. I'm happy you didn't say great men think alike. Yeah.
Familiarity breeds favoritism.
Where does that come in here? Okay, anyway, I'll move on because we don't have too much of time, but I promise I'll stop at 11 o'clock. What the lesson that I draw from here is about the process. I asked you 9 questions and I asked you in a certain sequence. You also don't mix up the question. Ask the same sequence, you get the same answer. Every study in a classroom is about a process. Every study which you do on your own is about a process. There is a certain way in which you must learn. What is important is not that, hey, look, there is a problem, I must know to solve this problem. No, it doesn't work like that. If you're a student of finance, because that's the only subject that I understand, if you're a student of finance in final, for example, or if you're studying leverage in your intermediate, you must know what is leverage, you must know about what happens in leverage in science, you must know the entire process of working. If you learn the process as opposed to the final answer, it will stick here. Process takes time, but it will stick. So the P in the Pepsi stands for the power of the process. Done. I'm going to move on to the second thing. This is a story that I've told umpteen number of times. And I've told it for many years. I'm not sick of it. Some of you might have heard about it, but I'll still go ahead and tell you. This is a story. What do you read there on the screen? Professor answers a tough question. Okay? This is a story that happened. It's real life. It's a story that happened when I was in the first year of my accounting class. Okay, that means remember how long it is, but it's still very relevant. So I was one of those guys who decided that I would not do science after class 10 because science did not make any meaning to me. And I do not know how it is today, but in those times the best and brightest boys went either to engineering or medicine. There were very, very few people who actually by choice, the best guys by choice came to do accounting, commerce, etc. We had an outstanding teacher who taught us accounting, I must tell you. He was absolutely outstanding. In fact, he would begin the accounting class, the first day of the class, he would tell you, all those guys who are sitting there means the science class, they all are reading something that was actually originally invented or discovered in accounting. And for example, he would say that Newton's third law of motion. What is that Newton's third law of motion? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Newton came, I think, in the 17th century. The professor would say Newton's third law of motion is a cut, copy, paste from Luca Pacioli's third rule of double entry, which says every debit has a corresponding credit. So all of us used to be excited. This is just one sample. He was one of the most outstanding teachers I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of outstanding teachers. Okay. And so he went ahead, taught this, that. On the 10th day, he had finished trial balance and he had taught us balance sheet and he asked us, he said, any boys and girls, any question? Guys seated next to me, those were the days of balance sheet where they were vertical balance sheet. Okay, so he said, this boy who was sitting next to me said, Professor, can you tell us why liabilities appear on the left and assets appear on the right? That professor, who normally answers every question, said, shut up and sit down. So our fellow shut his mouth and sat down. He turned next to me and asked me, do you know the answer? I told him, boss, I also have the exact same doubt. You had the courage to ask the professor. I have no courage to ask the professor. That's the only difference between you and I also told him, don't worry. One day this teacher will fall sick. Every day he cannot come. That time some standby teacher will come. We will ask him more about it. So like I said, 15 days later, this guy fell sick. A standby teacher came. After 20 minutes, that standby teacher I think was teaching rectification of errors. So 20 minutes later, he said, boys and girls, any question? This fellow's hand went up. Okay. Everybody started laughing. The teacher asked, why are you laughing? He said, you listen to his question. This is a question he has been asking everybody in school. Every senior he meets, yes, he will ask you now also, sir, you listen to him. Then he said, no, I will not laugh at the question. Let him ask. So by now everybody knew his voice. He said, sir, why do assets always come on the right hand side and liabilities left? The professor, no? I still remember so many years later, word to word I remember what he said. He didn't bat an eyelid. He said, gentlemen and ladies, go home this evening, take a look at a wedding photograph, you will know why liabilities are on the left and assets. Now, I'm not being racist and all that, so don't get me wrong. I'll tell you why I'm talking about this. This guy would ask similar questions. He would say, why is it called profit and loss account when you can have only profit or when you can have only loss? He is today an extremely well-known guy in India, so I'll not name him. Okay? And that time he told me, and I didn't understand then, today I understand that for a 16-year-old that was profound statement. He said, it is good to stand up in a class and be counted as a fool for 5 minutes. Sorry, it is good to stand up in a class, ask the question and be counted as a fool for 5 minutes than to never stand up, never ask the question and be a fool forever. I'll repeat. He said, it's good to stand up in a class, be counted as a fool for asking a question and that whose answer you don't know, than to never ask the question, never know the answer and be a fool forever. What I'm trying to tell you is that in classrooms, in workplace, in wherever you have a doubt, you must ask. Okay? The E in Pepsi stands for inquire. You must ask because you can't tell yourself, hey, I'm a fool. Everybody does not know everything. Everybody does not know everything. I still remember long years ago, I think it was early 2000, I was working for an internet company, meaning I was consulting for an internet company. Every day the guy used to say, every hour the guy used to say, the VC is saying this, the VC is saying that. To me, the only VC that I knew at that particular point in time was a vice chancellor. So after 40 minutes, I really didn't understand what he was saying, so I asked him, who is a VC? He was stumped. He said, you don't know who is a VC. I said, I know who is a VC. Vice Chancellor is the VC, but obviously the Vice Chancellor has nothing to do with an internet company. What is a VC? And he said, VC stands for venture capitalist. Now, I could have not asked the question, never known it, but I don't believe that that is how it is. So, first important thing was that process in whatever you learn a process. Second thing is, whenever you have a doubt, ask. I'll move to the third thing. This is about inquiry. I do not know whether you know this guy. This is a very, very ancient story, but it's a phenomenal piece of actual event that I thought I should share with you. You know him? Pete Sampras. Pete Sampras was an outstanding tennis player. He once held a record for the maximum number of Grand Slams until Roger Federer got it, and I think now all these three guys have overtaken that record. Pete Sampras was a guy who has a hangdog expression. You see his face, you will not know what he's thinking. So after a game was over, after he had won the Wimbledon, if I remember right, he was practicing. So a journalist went and asked Sampras, Mr. Sampras, what do you do after you play tennis? And Sampras said, I play tennis. So the journalist thought this guy has not understood, he's very tired. So he asked him, Sampras, what do you do after you play tennis? Sampras said, I play tennis. Now the journalist understood. So he said, Sampras, after you have played tennis, what do you do? And Sampras said, after I have played tennis, I play tennis. What I'm trying to say is that this is why these guys do extremely well. They practice. Okay? They practice. I do not know who was that musician who once said, somebody asked him, why are you practicing 14 hours a day? What will happen if you don't practice? Then the guy said, if I don't practice, a tune in the concert will go wrong. So this guy asked him, if a tune in a concert goes wrong, what is the great deal? You are such a great singer. Who will know? And he said, I would know. I would know that I have gone wrong. So what I am trying to tell you is that if you look at all these great performers, they are all people who toil their way. What we see is only the award night. What we see is only the prizes they win. Today what you are going to see is what these guys picking up their prizes. What you have not seen is the hours and hours of work that goes behind every award. The hours and hours of study that these boys and girls would have done. So practicing, perspiring, putting in hard work is so very important. I want to run this, the fourth S. This has now become commonplace. When I first put it, it was not commonplace. Can anybody volunteer to read what is there? I can help you. First sentence says, only smart people can read this. Anybody who wants to take a mic and read? Srinivas will give you a prize if you read it correctly. There, somebody wants to read.
Cannot believe that I could actually understand what I was reading. According to a research at Cambridge University, the phenomenal power of the human mind is such that it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and the last letters must be in a right place. The rest can be a total mess and you can still read it without a problem. This is because the human mind does not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole. Amazing, huh? Yeah, and I always thought spellings were important.
Good, let us give her a big I think that was great. We will reserve our judgment on what is the moral of the story after you do the next one. Okay? I'm going to put up the next one. I'll explain what it is. All of you will have to do it in your mind. Okay? You see some numbers, are they visible from the last rows? You can see? Okay. First number 1 is somewhere there in the left hand corner. After that you have to search where is number 2. Somewhere in the right side it is there. You have spotted number 2? Yes? Alright. After you have seen 2, you must go and see 3. I don't know where 3 is. Yes, somewhere in the top it is there. Then you must go and locate 4, like that. Okay? I will give you 30 seconds. Let us see who gets the highest number. Please remember, no cheating. Okay? You can go to 6 only after you have seen 5. Alright? So let's begin from 1. I'll give you 30 seconds. Fine. What is the number that you last saw reading in sequence? 1 3? 1 3 or 3 0? 1 3. Good. Anybody saw more than 13 in sequence?
16.
1 6. Alright. I've done this in many places. The highest that I've actually heard people say is 17. So you have done pretty well. Now I'll tell you something else. Now take a look at this. It is the same set of numbers. Same numbers. And I have broken them into 9 quadrants. First number is the first quadrant, second number is the second quadrant, third number is the third quadrant, fourth number is the fourth quadrant, fifth is the fifth, sixth is the sixth, like that. Ninth is in the ninth quadrant, 10th is in the first quadrant, like that. You understood what I'm saying? Now I'll give you 15 seconds. Look at it the way that I suggested. Quadrant is that box, left to right, left to right, left to right. Okay? Now please go ahead and see it. I think that's done now. How much have you seen? You said 13 now? 40. 40.
Yes.
Wonderful. So what is the moral of the story?
Organization.
Organization. Okay, good. The moral of the story there is, these are about study skills. Okay, I'm not going to dive deep into it. These are about study skills. If you have a methodical way of studying, it becomes easier. When you, for example, you're studying cost accounting, for instance, if you're, let's say, reading relevant costing, if you just dive into it, nothing will happen. When you see it, it will look very vast. Or if you're reading tax edition, it will look very vast. If you can break it down into its component parts and identify, hey, look, there are 25 things I have to learn, and then pick one after the other, and find an order and a method, or like I said earlier, a process in which this can be done, it becomes very simple. Most of these things which look very difficult in the beginning, I'm sure when she started, she would have found this difficult. But as she went along, she was able to read, and I thought she read at a pretty fast clip, much faster than I thought what she would. Now what this goes to show is that initially something will look tough. But if you put your heart and soul into it and think, no, I'm not going to lose, then you will be able to do that. Okay? I will, before I go to my last thing, so just to summarize, what was the P, first P? Process. Second? Inquire. Third? Practice. Fourth was about study skills. There are many more study skills, I'm sure you can ask the rank holders, they will tell you. I now want you to look at this number, 434. There are two stories I'll tell and then I'll wind up. 434. Remember what that is? Anything that gels? There's a cricket ball also, so there's a connect to cricket. Yeah, wonderful.
Highest score in ODI.
Wonderful. This was the highest score that was ever chased in a ODI match. Okay? I'll tell you a small story behind it. This happened in Johannesburg. It happened, I think, in 2007. I was then working on a client, and a friend of mine called me up and said, wherever you are, go to the nearest television. I said, no, I'm not going to any television. That was a time when Australia had scored 434, and that was the highest score that had ever been scored. South Africa was to chase that score. He said, no, something wonderful is happening on television. I said, nothing. He said, no, you will go, you will regret. They are chasing 434 and they are 380 for something or something like that. So I landed there and watched the TV. Today with giant bags, T20 scene, this looks doable. But at that particular point in time, nobody had scored more than 330 to win a match. And the captain, if I remember his name right, I think it was Graham Smith. Graham Smith, at the lunch break, at the break between the two matches, is reported to have told his team that this is scoreable because this ground is small. Nobody asked him whether it was small or not. He said this ground is small, so fours are easy to get, and all that we have to do is to score 1 4 more than the other team. Okay? And in front of a remarkably disbelieving world, these guys went and did that. That is what I call the law of attraction. That means, if you think good things will happen to you, they will happen. If you think bad things will happen to you, they will happen. I never believed in the law of attraction until something happened to me. After a program, two of us were driving. I was the driving guy. There was a person seated next to me, left. It was a 3-day program. On the first day I was driving. This was at 8 o'clock in the night. And one car overtook me and hit me on the side. And that guy got down and he said, sir, you have to give me money. I said, why have I to come and give you money? You overtook me on the wrong side. You scratched my car. It is you who has to pay money. He said, no, this is my first day in my job. The company will take away my salary. Then we gave him some money, though it was no fault of ours. Day 2, same program was over. We were driving somewhere. It was raining. A Maruti car overtook us. It was driven by a lady. It hit us on the left side. She overtook on the left side, hit it and went away. I told my friend, let us stop the car and find out what. He said, no, don't stop the car. And I'm not being racist. He said, that's being driven by a lady. She stops, us stops, the crowd will be only with her. I said, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let us find out what has happened to her. She did not stop. The vehicle went away. We stopped. Left side was a huge damage. Right side was already a huge damage. Third day I was driving the same car. Only guy in Chennai who must have been driving a car, hit on the right, bang on the left. Okay. Third day, last day of the program, we finished and we were driving. And this person was seated next to me, said, look, day before yesterday, one car hit us, not even us, hit you on the right side. Yesterday, one car hit you on the left side. I do not know what will hit us today. Okay? This fellow did not even close his mouth. I'm not exaggerating. One lorry came from behind him. Nothing happened to nobody. That's another story. See, ever since that day, I believe in the law of attraction. Even if you don't think good things are going to happen to you, don't worry. At least don't imagine bad things are going to happen. Don't go to the examination hall thinking, hey, I'm going to fail. If you tell yourself, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, your mind is telling you you are going to fail and you will fail. So there is no point in thinking about it. I'll move to the last story of mine. This is about involvement. This is a story that a psychologist friend of mine tells me. He tells me that it is possible to identify a person's profession by seeing how he responds to a question. So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to tell you an incident. You have to tell me what comes first to your mind. All right? There are no right answers, no wrong answers. So don't try to justify them. Whatever first came to your mind. Let's say after today's program, you walk out of the institute, go on the main road, you see a lorry come and hit a car. What came to your mind first is all that I know. My story. That's because unfortunately I stored my story. I shouldn't have told. Anything else that came to your mind? Are they dying? Anyone is dying. Heart is like that. Yeah.
Call the ambulance.
Call the ambulance. All right. I'll look quickly because I've really run out of time. I'll quickly tell you what my psychologist friend tells me. My psychologist friend tells me that the first thought that should come to an engineer is what failed? Did the brake fail? Did the horn fail? Etc. If an engineer thinks about how many people are dying inside, should I call an ambulance? Then he has done no justice to his engineering study. So he says an engineer is trained to first think of engineering. Then he tells me that the first thing that should come to the mind of a doctor is, can I give first aid? Can I rush to the hospital? If a doctor first thinks about what failed, brake failed, etc., he's done no justice to medicine. Then he tells me that the first thing that comes to the mind of a person who says, who was wrong? Did this guy come on the right side of the road? Did he come on the left side of the road? Who is he? Lawyer. He also said lawyer, but many people say policeman. Anyway, it doesn't matter. A lawyer or a policeman. Then I got interested, so I asked him, what should come first to the mind of a chartered accountant? So he told me what you said, that the first thing that should come to the mind of a good cost accountant is whether the car was insured or not. I said, okay, that's all good. What should come to the mind of a financial accountant? He said the first thing that should come in the mind of a financial accountant, as soon as he sees the accident, as soon as he sees the damages, which account should be debited and which account should be credited. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll very quickly wrap up. I said about 5 things. A, power of the process. B, what is the second one? Inquire, ask questions. 3, practice, perspire, persevere. Nobody has done outstandingly well without doing all that. 4 is follow smart study skill. 5 is like, you see an accident, you think of debit and credit. Until you do your exams, you are being completely and totally focused on the exams. I don't know whether I've added a lot of value, some value to it, but I thought these are something that you will carry with you. These are some things that are good, not just for exams, they are good for life generally itself. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom and experience, sir. Plenty of takeaway for each and every one of us.
May I now request the chairman to honor the chief guest with a memento. Hope the first half of the session was interesting, and let's all meet after the small break of 10 minutes, having the coffee. Welcome back, everybody.
The path we are walking on is studded with diamonds. Yes, it may seem very pretty, but it's the hardest to walk on.
I never studied for 14 to 16 hours a day, but CA made me do.
I never attended classes for 12 hours a day, but CA made me do it.
I never worked in office for 12 to 16 hours a day, but CA made me do.
I've never worn formal dresses before, but CA made me do it.
I never believed in luck, but CA taught me to.
CA is not just a word. It's a dream. It's our aim. It's our life. We have an elite panel of rankers here with us who are going to help us clear the exams with ease by sharing with us their success mantras and valuable inputs.
This day is not an ordinary day, but a day of pride for our rank holders here. Pride of being a winner, happiness of fulfilling a goal, and the satisfaction of being ready to embrace a world of bigger challenges and ample of opportunities.
Before we begin, we'd like to know more about the panel, right? So, we request all the panel members to give a very brief and crisp introduction about themselves.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank SIRC Bangalore for giving this opportunity to come over here and share my inputs. So, thank you for that. It's a great honor. And speaking about my achievement, first of all, I'm Vaibhav Jain. Cleared my CA Intermediate in November 2019, 2 years back. And I secured All India rank 14 with 638 marks. Thank you so much. So, well, I hope this session will be quite helpful for all of you, including me, when I can take tips from them. So, I hope it's a good session. Thank you.
So, namaste everyone. I am Rachita and I cleared Inter in December with 563 marks and I'm doing my BCom at Christ. Now, it's a great honor and a great privilege that you all want us to be here. And so just thank you and let's hope to learn a lot of stuff.
Hello everyone, I'm Himanshi and I also cleared my Inter just in December, that was my 10th. I got 562, so that basically is city rank 5. I also thank SIRC for inviting me and all of us. It's a great honor to address this gathering. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Keertana Rao and first of all I want to thank all of you for calling us here, it's an honor. And I cleared my CA Intermediate exams in July 2021 with 538 marks, All India rank 34.
Hi everyone, I am Sanjay and I cleared my CA Inter in December 21, scoring 605 and secured All India rank 36 and I am currently studying BCom. Yeah, you can clap. I'm currently studying my BCom in HJCC and
Hello everyone, I am Suhas. I gave my inter attempt in December 2021 and I secured 562 marks. So that's all.
I cleared my CA Inter exams in December 21 with 598 marks and an All India rank 42. I am also currently pursuing my BCom in Seshalipuram College.
A very pleasant afternoon to one and all present here. Thank you so much for this opportunity, first up, and because it's going to be a session of great learning. My name is Chaitanya. I gave my attempt in July 2021 and I cleared with an All India rank of 38, scoring 533. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Aditya Bajaj. I cleared my CA Inter in December 21 with a total score of 587, so that comes up to a city rank of 3. And I'm currently pursuing my BCom from St. Joseph's College of Commerce. And this is the first time I'm going to speak in front of a large gathering with like-minded people, so hope it all goes well. Thank you.
I guess now everybody has their minds filled with questions. Similarly, we had also prepared a questionnaire for the panel. They are more like FAQs. So going with the basics first, how important do you think hard work is for a CA final student? It is a very basic question, but it is the most necessary question which needs to be answered. So we'd like Vaibhav to take this up.
Thank you. So the most important question, how important is hard work? I think sir already mentioned in his presentation the importance of hard work. Well, I would like to give you a small example to explain this. So all of you would have played a slide, right, in the park. So all of you know that ladders in a slide. So the higher the ladder, the more fun is the slide. That's how even studies are. Even though it might require a little bit more effort, where you have to climb a bit higher, but once you reach the top, the slide becomes even more fun, and you are much more happier when you reach the top. So with regard to CA exams, everyone would tell you it's tough, it's tough. I would not disagree with them, it is tough, but it's not impossible. If you give a little bit more efforts, which all of you can over here give, you would be able to crack it as well as get a rank, and hopefully see you guys over here in the next few years to come to enlighten the next generation of students. So, and regarding the subject wise, we would obviously be sharing our inputs, but at an overall level, people might say you require 14 hours, 16 hours. Well, it depends on each individual's capability. Some of you might be able to study the same thing in a matter of 10 hours. Some of you might require a little bit more time. But don't start comparing your skill as against someone else. Be confident of what you are, and please put in efforts every single day. If you're able to clock in 8 hours on a particular day, try to increase it by let's say half an hour each day. And by that, I think you'll be able to crack your exams easily.
Does anybody who wants to add something else to this question?
So a lot of people talk about smart work here. So I just want to emphasize on that as well. So along with hard work, it's very important to have smart work. Now what does smart work mean? You should know what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. You shouldn't just open a book and blindly read without having a direction or without having a motive to attain. So plan out your studies, and if you know what you're going to cover for that day, it just makes things a lot more easier.
Thank you. Before we move on to the next question, I forgot a very important aspect. CA Pattabhi sir is also one of the rankers, so I just forgot mentioning it when I spoke about him. I'm really sorry, sir.
Even now ranker, sir. Continuously scoring. Even now is the ranker.
Yeah. So, yeah. No. Okay, so now we spoke about hard work. The next thing which comes along with hard work is luck. So people talk about their hard work and then they blame luck not being on their part. So the next question is, do you believe in luck? Do you think that plays a role in clearing your exams? We'd like Sanjay to take this up.
To be frank, sir asked me the same question in orientation, like in the seminar, what is luck? Sanjay, what is luck? So in his presentation, he gave the answer, it's preparation meeting opportunity. So you don't know when the opportunity comes. Like opportunity can be the kind of questions or the topics which are very comfortable with and your strong area. And the chance that it can come in the paper or it cannot come in the paper. But you don't have control on that and you don't know. Like this, nothing, anything. You don't know what can come in the paper and you don't know like end of the day each subject you will get only 20 questions from each subject. So 20 from each subject, so you don't know what is going to come in that. And it can be that the question is focusing on the topic which you are comfortable with, or it can be that question paper is focusing on the topic which you are not comfortable with. So you don't know what is that. So end of the day, the more topics you can cover, the better it is. So luck, I believe that is preparation meeting opportunity.
We'd like Pattabhi sir's view on this luck thing.
Well, I can only remember what Navjot Sindhu said. You know Navjot Sindhu? Yes. Not even commentary. Yes, sir. Somebody asked him, what is his luck? And Navjot Sindhu said, I believe in luck because that is the only way I can explain why the other fellow got successful. What I am trying to say is that if somebody, you can say Sanjay became What rank you got? What number?
Yeah,
36th rank because he was lucky. That is only otherwise no, but to be more honest, luck does play a part. Now, I do not know whether you call it luck, but sometimes some things happen to us which we never thought would happen. So if that is the definition of luck, then that is luck. But like he said, another way to put it across is to say that the people who become most lucky are the people who put in the most amount of work. So that is where it is. If you say luck will side me, you have to put your effort also. Beyond that, I don't think we should give too much thought also.
Thank you, sir.
So I would place this question to Shreyas. Shreyas, how many hours did you put for your preparation? If you want to give up a number, how many hours did you put and how many days did you take it seriously before exams?
Last 3 months I took it very seriously. Approx was 8 hours, but it's no, it's working. You need not keep a fixed number. It depends on your goals. If you complete your aim of that day, you can finish at 4 hours also. You may even take 10 hours. There is no specific time. At the end, you have to also focus on mock test papers. That will take 3 hours approx if you give one paper a day. So on an average, you will need 8 hours a day in the last 2 months to 3 months.
So talking about the number of hours each day, for me it was always not counting the number of hours I've studied. So I used to usually make a study plan for every single day, and I had kind of had a target for every single day. So if I finished my target earlier, if I finished it in 6 hours, so that I'd be done for that day. I wouldn't go ahead and do anything that is not necessary for right now. If I wasn't able to finish it in 10 hours, I'd study for more than 10 hours. So for me, the important aspect which I focused on was not how many hours you study, but how much are you studying every single day. So if you sit for 10 hours and you don't understand the concept, you're just basically opening the book and just going through it and not understanding it, nothing is going into your head. So even if you study for 12 hours a day, it wouldn't matter, because some person would have studied for 2 hours and been able to grasp the same thing which you tried to do for 12 hours, that person is obviously in a better position than you. And talking about when I started my preparation, I actually wrote my foundation in January. So everyone else in my batch, since they had written in December, they'd already started their preparation because their results had come out. So I think starting early was something which I focused on. So I started before my foundation results itself came out. So if you're able to start early, I think the pressure that you might, have to face near the exams, maybe like 3 or 4 months before the exams, will be much less. So yeah.
Thank you, Himanshi. Aditya, as Himanshi emphasized on planning, how important do you think planning is?
So, coming to planning, see, the CA syllabus is so vast that we cannot go ahead without planning something, right? So, as soon as I wrote my foundation exams in December 20, I started my inter coaching because I knew that if I had to give both groups, because I was aiming for that set of thing, that if you scored 2, 10 and 190, you will clear the exam, right? I was aiming for that. So, just to be able to write both the groups together in one attempt, I started early coaching. That proved to be helpful for me. Also, I planned of now we have a combination of practical as well as theoretical subjects in CA Inter, right? So, in what happened in foundation was, I just passed my law exam by 1 mark, I got 41. So, I was pretty sure that if I study the same way in Inter also, I'm definitely going to fail. Because, I had to change my strategy because getting 41 after studying so much was a bit of setback for me. So, for theoretical subjects, what I did, for law, I made my own handwritten notes. It took me around 25 days to complete the entire notes, but once it was done, I didn't refer to any other book till the day of my exam. So, that was 100-page short notes for me, and I studied that for the entire 6-7 months. That helped me score an exemption in law. So, it's not you have to stick to a very huge material. You have to make your own notes for a theoretical subject, and that's very important. Even for EIS and SM, like as you know, there are so many questions, and each question has different 5 to 6 points, right? It's very difficult to remember that and recapitulate that before the exam. So the importance of mnemonics comes over here. You have to make sure that for whichever question in audit or EIS SM, you are able to make a mnemonic, a small word by which you can remember all the points. Please do that if you have time, because that is what going to help you 1.5 days before the exam. See, also, not only academically, I also plan my way of giving importance to my co-curricular activities as well. So I am a keyboardist. I'm playing keyboard for the last 5-6 years. So I made sure that I don't leave it. And yes. So because the thing was that if I leave keyboard, I won't be able to study properly and concentrate on my studies. So for example, weekly three days I used to practice keyboard for 1 hour or something. That used to boost up my morale, and that's really important. See, you might be good at painting or you might be good at a sport. Please do not leave that for the sake of the exams. Definitely 1 month, 45 days before the exam you have to leave it. But till the time you are preparing for the exams, I request you, please do not give up on your co-curricular activities, because they are an added refreshment for you. If you study for 10 hours a day and if you give even 1 hour for that activity, that that makes you feel good. If I have studied for 10 hours, I am rewarding it with something that I love to do, right? So yeah, that's the importance of it. And also, see, if you remember, sir had given us that quadrant thing, right, where all the numbers from 1 to 100 were there. So when he divided the square into different quadrants, we were able to find out the numbers pretty quickly and easily. So that's what you have to do in CA course. See, if you pick up a subject, it's got so many topics and subtopics in it, right? So if you plan to complete it in one go, it's really difficult, because once you move ahead like 5-6 chapters, you tend to forget what was there in the first chapter, right? So frequency is the key in CA exams. My teachers used to tell me that you have to study like 1 theoretical subject and 1 practical subject per day. I'm sure most of you would have heard of that, right? So I modified it. I improvised it basically. I started studying 4 subjects a day. So what was happening is, now see, if I study 2 subjects a day, I would be able to touch one subject only once a week. And I didn't want that to happen, because as I told, frequency was the key for me. So if I am studying 4 subjects a day, even if a small topic of that particular subject is getting over, the thing is that I was able to open that book 3 to 4 times a week. And that helped me at least believe in myself that I'm not forgetting what I've done before. So it's all up to you. You can improvise your strategies. See, those who are writing in May 22, obviously you don't have time to improvise now. You have to stick to whatever you have done till now. But those who are writing in December, you guys still have got like 6 months from now. So even if you try some different things for 1-2 months, it might work out for you in the end. So don't hesitate to try something which is different from what others are doing. It might work for you, it might not work for you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya, for that elaborate planning and laying emphasis on not letting go of our passion when we are preparing for exams. Thank you.
This question is for Pattabhi, sir. Sir, how important do you think articleship training is? And do you think it is helpful for passing our exams? Do you think they lay a foundation, the 3 years training course, whatever we take, do you think they lay a foundation in our career?
That's a little tricky, but personally I think it is useful. It is not that the articleship is bad. Articleship is a great idea, because if you look at what happens in medical college, every study is backed by the medical student visiting the hospital. So they see live what has been taught. Before they get to practice, they have 1 year of house service. All the good medical colleges have a hospital attached. So getting to know what happens in the workplace is very important. In engineering, something very similar. They do their summer training. So what happens in the workplace is important. Today, engineering AICT is actually working on an idea where a student will go for industrial training every year, and in the last 6 months or last 1 year they want it done fully, and they are actually making a reference to what chartered accountancy is doing. So from that standpoint, I think it is good, because when you once you qualify and go for work, there is no further training required. Whereas every engineer joins as a GT, graduate trainee, then he gets posted. Here it is nothing like that. If your office has a preponderance of tax, I'm sure your income tax paper becomes easy. If your office has a preponderance of secretarial practice, your law paper becomes easy. So I would think it is useful. But if you ask me, and I'm not scared of saying that, according to me, the first priority of a student is to pass the exam. How well he learns is important, but that is second. You can become great at work, but if you pass your 5th exam, I don't think that's great. You don't know much about work, you pass in your 1st exam, that to me is far more important. When I'm a recruiter, I have no hesitation of saying that. I look at candidates who have passed. For example, Wipro put some ads. I help Wipro recruit people. Wipro is very clear. Earlier they used to say, anyone who's taken more than 2 attempts, we will not see them. Now they are saying anyone more than 3 will not see them. So passing immediately is important. So industry, articleship is very important. If you get in a good place work, if you work with some of the larger firms, you also get to interact with the corporate executives. So you get to know how work takes place. But don't get lost with the auditor's job. For example, if you're working in my firm, it's my problem to finish work with the client. Okay? You should not sacrifice your study leave. So the office says, no, you've got 90 days, come 10 days. It happens in smaller to medium offices. Don't compromise on all that. So to cut short, articleship is important. Do it in a place where there's good work, otherwise 3 years will be idle. Second thing is that more important in articleship is to pass the exam.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we heard about how important planning is. So after planning, the next step will be implementation, obviously. So we'd like to ask this question to Rachita. How did you manage to study such a huge syllabus? Like, what were the special techniques you used, and how often did you revise a new content which you have read? How often did you go back to those topics which you have already covered?
Okay, so there are 2 ways of answering this. What I did, what I ideally should have done. Okay, so coming to what I did, when I started off, I didn't really have a plan for the next 9 months or 10 months, whatever it was. I think I started in January. Yeah, so classes started then. So back then it was just about making sure you are with the class. So what happens is, and this is a tendency, especially if you've taken pen drive classes or if online classes there, see, during January, February, I don't think a lot of people will be serious, especially if you're giving your attempt in November. And I'm from Trent, so there's always a lot going on and you're like, okay, can I just go for a co-curricular activity or come here? So the chance of you missing out on classes is high. So I remember by the end of May, being very honest, I had a backlog of 55 hours of financial management that I had to cover, and that was like it was a huge regret, because I could have just attended those 4 hours of class every day and not piled it up. So please don't do that. So if class is going on, make sure you attend class, and it will take you just half an hour to revise whatever they've done in class that day. So the more you do this, the more reiteration will happen and the more it will stay in your mind. Also, it will help you understand the concept better. Now, something else, like I said, what you ideally should do, this is what you ideally should do. So this is one tip that everybody says: revise what you've done in class that day, don't miss classes. Another thing could be, so like I said, make a study plan. I think a lot of them talked about it. Know what you're going to do in a day. So I have this cute tiny whiteboard at home. So I used to write down, so from this time to this time I do this. Because if you see, like a lot of people say you don't have enough time, but you have 24 hours. And if you actually sit to study, you will see that 24 hours is a lot. So let's just take it like this. You have 24 hours, you want 8 hours sleep. So how much are you left with? You're left with 16 hours. Let's say you have to study for 10 hours a day. Okay? So how much is 16 minus 10? It's 6 hours. Now you have 6 hours to yourself to do time pass, to do co-curricular activities, to go play something. You have 6 hours. So if you take it as that much time in your hands, I think, like if you break down what you're doing, when you're doing, it helps. So coming to implementation, time management is very important. So I don't have time is not a good reason. I think if you break down what you're doing, when you're doing, it'll work. Yeah, so having a plan helps. Also, have a plan for the next week as well. So for example, if you started your first revision, I think a lot of you are writing in May, right? Now let's say you started with accounts. So focus on your weak areas first. Now you know that maybe you're bad at cash flow statements. I'm not sure if you have cash flow statements for foundation now, but okay, like just taking an example. So let's say you're bad at that. Focus on that. So our teacher always used to say, imagine life is like a ship, right? Your preparation is like a ship. Now, would you go on trying to steer the ship, look at the view, or would you try to seal the cracks at the bottom? Now, the cracks at the bottom are what are going to make you sink. So, make sure you seal those and then you move forward. There's no point revising something that you know really, really well 5 times a day. Rather spend that time on something that you don't know and make it average. So that's how I approach things. I don't want a 95 in every single subject or in one particular subject. I would rather get a 70 in everything and get an exemption in everything rather than do that. So I hope this answers your question.
That was a great explanation, Rachita. So I would ask this question to Himanshi. Himanshi, did you prepare any brief notes or a summary? And if you at all have spent time on preparing these summary notes, did you refer it in the last time of examination, or did you go through the whole syllabus again during the last time of your exams?
Okay, so talking about brief notes, I think it's pretty obvious that we have to prepare brief notes for a theory subjects especially, like we have law, we have EIS, SM and audit. The thing is we get only 1.5 days before each exam. And if we try to sit and read the entire thing, I don't think it's possible to go through the entire syllabus just 1.5 days before the exam. So preparing brief notes that's something I did, and that is something that I would obviously recommend all of you to do, especially if you have if you're writing in December, you have plenty of time to do that. So do that. As Aditya was also speaking, he made a 100-page book for law. I didn't have a notebook, but even if while reading law itself or reading a theory subject, I had a highlighter, I had a pen in my hand, and I highlighted only the important things. So a few hours, so our exams were at 2, right? So a few hours before the exams, I just went through those highlighted points or the brief notes. Because obviously, expecting anyone to read, those vast subjects, it's not really possible before the exam. So yeah, I think brief notes is something which is pretty obvious. All of you should prepare brief notes.
Thank you very much, Himanshi. We'd like to ask this question to Pattabhi sir. What is the importance of the 80-20 rule for CA final students? Do we need to focus on few vital subjects to score better marks, and laying emphasis on that 80-20 strategy? We'd like to know your take on this.
I don't think I'm the right guy to answer that for 2 reasons. One is long back I finished writing exams. 2 is that for a very long time I was teaching, so I would naturally like people to read everything. But because of this then becomes a question of doing selective reading. So, but obviously it also makes some sense if you look at what has happened in the past, which questions, if a chapter gets asked every time, it makes more sense to do that. But I'm only reminded of one guy who was in our class. This is long back. He was the All India first rank holder. He got the All India first rank, and he asked him to address like this, and one person asked somewhat similar question. He asked him that, did you prepare everything? What would have, did you cover everything? Then this boy told, he was first rank in intermediate, so he must have been 19 years old. He gave a very profound answer. I was mighty impressed by that. Some of you might think he's being philosophical. No, I think he was very correct. He said, in this vast subject, obviously I could not prepare everything. I left out something, but when I went to the exam hall, I knew that if I did not find the time to read that, the examiner will not find the time to ask. Might look a little childish, but the point is very clear that more important is for you to go with the right attitude to the exam hall. Because there were a lot of people, I actually don't like a word that some of you also used here, very often used by many teachers also. May attempt, November attempt, they are not attempts, they are exams. Okay? You don't go and write by, nobody, when you did class 12, did anybody ask, is it all right, I can come and write after what was the next exam? You never do that. It's only unfortunately that it's CA people do that, and no, I don't know whether I'm right. It is only in this course people celebrate failure. The institute very proudly, with due respect to the institute, very proudly goes all over the world. Even the Chartered Accounting Committee goes around and says our pass percentage is only 15%. Imagine in a company where the raw material is 100 kgs and the finished product is 15 kgs. What will people do? So my humble submission to you is that when you go to the exam, be positive. Don't look at all these guys who have not passed the exam. Like somebody said, I don't know whether it was Manoharan or someone who said that, if you go ask people, was it a difficult exam? If the guy has failed 4 times, he will obviously say it's a difficult course. He will not say it is an easy course. And if you ask people who have finished in the first attempt and got good ranks, if you ask them, they will also say it is a difficult course. Because I got through the exam, so it must be difficult. So forget about all that, prepare, go there, like in class 12, don't think that failure is at all a possibility. That is all I would like to say.
Thank you, sir. We got both the aspects, as a teacher's aspect as well as the student aspect from you. So moving forward, I will put this question to Kirtana. Kirtana, CA is a well-known journey, and we find a number of distractions in our journey. So our overall environment is important. So how do you think your friends, family, and your rest of the environment plays a role?
So if you sit in a noisy class and a class that is very disciplined, so you'll obviously grasp more and you'll be able to capture a better view in a class that is disciplined and with a teacher that's more strict. So that summarizes everything I feel. Because if you're overall, I think barring hard work, barring your planning, implementation, what people don't generally talk about is the environment in which you study. It is very, very important. It's not something that's like top one point that chartered accountants or budding chartered accountants talk about, but it definitely is a catalyst to the journey. Because especially during COVID, there were many houses that had patients in their their relatives, their family members were patients. So it's very tough because the environment is disturbing. So we are humans, right? Even though we are doing CA, we are humans. So I think what's important is your drive to do chartered accountant, to become chartered accountant should be more than what your environment is offering you. The environment outside should not have the power or it should not have the capability to disturb the environment inside you, is what I believe. Coming to friends, I think like friends play a great role because I am blessed with very good friends. Because during my exam, I had a breakdown in between because my advanced accounts paper didn't go well and I scored only 52 in that. So the next paper was, I suppose, audit or something, and I was going to give up in the second group. So that showed that I was going to give up this rank also and this achievement. So my friend told me, come to my house. She had cleared in the previous attempt. She told me, come to my house, we will study together. And she just motivated me and gave me a moral support. Please keep your moral, your mental status, please keep your attitude high. Don't think about failure at all. Just be in the process, just keep moving. You're made, you're a human because you have to move. You're in this journey, keep moving. Don't let the environment influence you. You influence the environment, is what I say.
Just to add on to that, so our friends, we had a Google Drive, right? So there we uploaded all the notes we got, anything that one person made. So maybe, see, we didn't have the sort of energy all the time to make notes for every single subject, because in Inter you have about 10 to 11 subjects. So if one person made notes, it would just take them about 5 minutes to scan the notes and upload. So the rest of them could sit and use it. So if you network like that, if you make groups around your friends like that, it will really help. So you can use notes that each other make, or you can find material online. So a lot of those things actually help.
Thank you, Kirtana and Rachita for sorry.
I just want to add one more point, that please at least try to avoid people who have this chalta hai attitude. I mean, क्या होगा ऐसे, people tell us anyway tough, people clear fifth attempt and all, it's okay if you don't clear in one. There are people who tell this, okay? Please try to avoid them at least during your last 3 months of preparation, because that will make you very complacent and you'll feel like, yeah, I'm doing so much actually compared to what that person is telling me. Please avoid such people because that will make your benchmark down.
Thank you both of you for that lovely answer. Now, emphasis was laid on attitude. So next question I'd like to ask Chaitanya. How important is having a positive attitude in clearing CA exams? And that passion, like how well does it drive you? If you're doing chartered accountancy course, it's not just another course. To clear all these hurdles and stay on that track, you need to be passionate. How has that helped? How has that helped you to keep continuing?
Yeah, so I think passion, that's the right word, because that's what that's what drove me, to be honest. So coming to the positive outlook, to be honest, when I reflect back on my preparation, probably 2.5 months before the exam, I wasn't satisfied with my level of preparation, and I felt like I need to make sure that I'm putting in more effort so that I don't feel for myself that I haven't given my 100%. So we all are there, right? We all feel that we have to be the best. But what happens is, as we go on the journey, because it's a long journey, we tend to feel exhausted, we feel like giving up. And at that moment, we need to understand that we need to take things as a pleasure and not as a pain. So my mom always used to tell this to me, and that's helped me a lot. She used to say, study with pleasure and not with pressure. So when you do something like, when you try to implement this and try to love what you're doing, like, because when ultimately what we're looking at is something which is created by our own human society. So when you think about why this thing came into existence and how this is going to help, and because we are living in a dynamic world, this is also going to change. What we are learning now, it's definitely going to change. So, and we are going to be the people who are going to change that. So we need to know how do we accommodate this in the future. So as future chartered accountants, I think it's important for us to know the whys of why something came. And when we focus on that, passion naturally comes. Because we are all inquisitive by nature, and that just keep that love for the subject and the course going, and that love will drive you to clear the exam as well.
Yeah, sure.
Like when the question is on attitude, and I remember this famous saying, like after all the discoveries in my time, the greatest discovery is that a person can change his life if he changes his attitude, and that is that. And like I feel like people, some kind of people will consequently get ranked from 12th, the high scoring people, and they get ranked in foundation, inter, and final, like that guy. So, but I feel that because mainly all the efforts and attitude, the efforts and the study routine and all, mostly the attitude, what they identify themselves as. And other people who are not able to clear, I feel they don't identify themselves like a person who's going to when they're studying, when they start CA, that they're going to clear it in all three in first attempt. I'm going to be that person who's going to clear all three in first attempt. They identify them as different kind of people, I personally feel. And then, I feel all people who are writing CA, put effort, like genuine effort. All people who are writing CA, writing CA exam is very difficult. So all people who are writing CA put all the efforts and all hard work they'll be doing. But the thing, what they run in their mind and what they identify themselves to be, that makes a difference. So I feel you have to program your mind that you identify yourself as a different person, like a person who's going to clear all three exams in first attempt.
Thank you very much. Next question I'd like to ask Suhas. How important is sacrifice in becoming CA? What all did you sacrifice to achieve this rank?
Well, I don't consider it as a sacrifice, but yeah, you need to reduce time, you need to make time. Then time management becomes really important. But yeah, if you sacrifice on something good which you really like, it might affect your studies. Because as he already said, he also found time for playing keyboard. So if he had not played keyboard, it would always affect his studies, thinking that I have managed to play keyboard in between such that I could get some free time. So I don't consider it as a sacrifice, but you need to just manage it in the time what you have.
Actually, I've heard this very popular saying in Sanskrit which goes like na karmana na prajaya janena tyagaineke amritatva manusharu. This means that, in the parlance it just means that without sacrifice is the highest virtue and you can't get anything without sacrifice. So we all know the matching concept in accountancy, we've been learning it since like 11th grade. So see it as an investment because for every expense there is an income. So make sure that you're putting in your related expense with the efficiency that we learn. So this is always a combination, right? We have a sales mix which gives you the perfect combination of profit. So think of it like that. Combine a lot of things, co-curricular and what you have to study, get that perfect mix, and then hopefully you'll be able to do great. Thank you.
Suhas and Chaitanya.
For bringing it out in such a relatable way.
Actually, Pattabhi sir spoke about the power of attraction. So I'd like to ask, power of attraction, I'm sorry. So I'd like to ask this question to sir. Law of attraction. I'm really sorry, sir. I was listening to you, sir. So I'd like to ask this question. How important is believing in becoming CA even before you are a CA? Should one feel he's already a CA even before he's qualified? I just want to know.
I actually don't believe in all those mantras that these gurus talk about. I actually don't believe it. That's just my personal take. But all that I can say is that you need to be positive. You need to think that this is not beyond you. I'm sure you've all seen Virat Kohli. When you see him, what do you think? He never goes to a match thinking he will lose. He never goes to a match. There are other guys, even if you think Dhoni might here and there be like, this guy is on the top of his mind is only winning. I am not saying that he must be as aggressive as him, but it is, his aggression is out of the desire to win. I don't think many people say he's very strong in his head and all that. Could be, but no. But I think his aggression comes more with wanting to win. That is what is far more important. Sometimes what happens if you imagine too many things, there can be further falls. So What I'm trying to say is that don't think that this is not possible. That is all that I can think. There are, like somebody said, how many of you are going to an audit firm? Yeah? No, not you guys. That's okay. The best way, somebody said the best way to think whether you can pass the exam or not is to think at that principal in your office and tell yourself, if this idiot can pass, then I can. That's the best way to do it. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. That was nice. Okay, this question I would
I
ask.
hope there's nobody from my firm here.
So this question would be for Vaibhav. Vaibhav, there are many hurdles here in the journey of CA. So how do you think, how important is motivation for you in your tough period of studying day and night?
Okay, the relevance of this question is mostly at times when you're like studying day in and day night, and then you're like, God, there's so much still left to cover. But that point of time, there's a saturation level where like you're done, like you can't study anymore. And that's the point where you're supposed to motivate yourself. Rather than thinking about the amount of syllabus that is left, why not you just see how much I've already covered? So what if majority of the questions are coming from that syllabus? So rather than being demotivated about how much is still pending to be covered, rather than stay positive, keep small milestones. Today, as everyone shared, we have a daily target, cover these many subjects, cover these many points today. So if you have small targets in your place, you won't be looking at the bigger picture. So have small milestones, keep motivating yourself. And some of you might say, watch this video of this person, watch that video. But trust me, self-motivation is the best thing. Someone motivating you would be a temporary motivation. You might be motivated, even today, for example, you might motivate you today. You might think, wow, it was a great conference. But at the end of the day, when you go back home, it's you who will be motivating yourself. It will be you who will be striving to put that extra effort to clear the exams. So never feel about what you couldn't do. Rather stay positive. Think about how much time you have in hand and how best you utilize that time. And always stay motivated.
I would also like to add that motivation is really important, because at the last moment of your study, when you're about to go to the test, there is always a feeling of nervousness. So it was my sister who helped me go through this. She cleared her CA finals in Jan 2021 with a AI 46. So she motivated me, telling that she had read less than me at that point of time. So also she also told that it's just an exam, so just go and write it. So you can easily clear it. It's all from what you have read. So that is what helped me face my exams, because in the last exams I almost felt that I didn't even know what I had read, because the almost 1.5 days of study, still I felt I am almost blank by the time I went to the exam hall. It was only due to her motivation and my family's support that it helped me achieve this, complete my inter exam and go to the next stage of my CA career.
Thank you. Now I would ask this question to Keerthana. Keerthana, that fire in your belly to succeed in your CA. So the desire of becoming a chartered accountant. So how is that important in the journey?
So I think that's really important during the days when you go through, because everyone talks about achievements, everyone talks about success. But those people also would have gone low during their days. They would have felt कि मुझसे नहीं होगा. They would have felt कि this is not, maybe this is not my cup of tea. They would have reached the rock bottom of their mind. So that time I feel still you will see them successful. That is because of their desire. Nothing should be more important than your desire to achieve what you want. First of all, you should not be forced to be in this profession, because it's already tough. So you need to have that drive within you to choose CA. When you have chosen CA, you should be like, if I have chosen this, that means I felt this is my cup of tea. It's okay if I'm having low days some days. It's fine. The important thing is the next day you get back and say, this is, I am meant to be CA. that the desire should be burning within you, is what I feel.
So for those of you who want to know what is pressure, I'll give you an example. There's a family of four brothers. First guy already a first rank CA final. Eldest brother. Second brother already a first rank CA final. Third brother already a first rank CA final. Fourth brother is writing the exam. Just imagine the kind of pressure that you have. Why I'm saying that? Or there the fire in the belly. I don't know whether you call fire in the belly or there the anger to do. And I was not making that up. That's a fact. That's an actual event. So just imagine that. So in comparison to that kind of pressure to perform, I think every other pressure to perform will be little less.
That is a real pressure, sir, I do agree. So another question to be continued with from you. Is there any suggestions or advice or techniques that you would be giving and sharing as an inspiration for us as the students here?
To me,
Yes, sir.
I didn't get that question.
Any suggestions or advice or techniques for the students here?
No techniques, I'm very clear in my mind. No techniques, no tablets. Like with anything, you may not like my answer, but like with anything, everything is a long grind. If you are very successful early in life, many of the guys who do outstandingly well in school, extremely well in college, they don't measure up much in CA, or they sometimes don't measure up well, because I'm not referring to you. They don't measure up well because they have seen success come the easy way. It was because they were naturally successful. If you look at some of the outstanding players of Vinod Kambli, for example, long years ago, there are Lakshman Shivramakrishnan, there are many more people who are child prodigies. They have never gone on to do well. So if success comes too early to people, they still have to put in effort. If Tendulkar is today where he is, or if Kohli is where he is, they are all because they have looked at it one single-minded thing. My only suggestion to people would be that, like with everything, the CA is not special. Okay, it is not something that a doctor does not face, that an engineer does not face, that a cricketer does not face. So long as you are committed, like somebody, one of you said, so long as you are committed, you are clear, this is what I want to do. Until you achieve that, you have to stay focused. I know the promoter of a company, I don't want to name, they are a client of mine. That guy, when he is doing something new or another activity, you go and tell him that that earlier activity or that earlier company of yours is burning. He is not bothered. He say, you take care of that, that is why you are there. Or you speak to that CEO, he will take care of it. His focus is only on one thing. The minute that is over, he moves to something else. So my humble suggestion is stay devoted to one thing. This story of multitasking, doing multiple things and all, in my view, does not work. Until you finish your exam or until your exam comes, stay focused. That's about all I can actually tell.
Thank you so much, sir. So these were the questions which we had in our minds, and hopefully it is answered. Now what we'll do is we'll divide the audience into groups and we'll allocate one topper to a group. We can have a small group discussion where you people, whatever, these were the questions which we felt needs to be answered. There might be few other questions which are popping up in your mind. So now what we'll do is one row, we'll allot one topper there. They can go. You'll have a small semicircle over there and you can discuss the questions which are popping in your mind.
And I am excused.
Rank holders, experienced person could answer all your questions. If at all you have many questions still running out in your mind and you're free to ask now. So this would be a small question and answer round for approx 5 minutes. So you can raise up your questions and they are free to answer. Go on.
My question is for Pattabhi sir. So the papers like direct tax, no, in final. Actually, the MCQ part you have to work, working note so much to answer the MCQs. So what is your suggestion to finish on time and to manage descriptive part also?
The last time I took direct tax was when I wrote my exam. After that, I told myself, no, I will never look at direct tax and all that again. And not just in exam, even in practice area. So I think I'm really equipped to answer that. If you are asking me whether the time is adequate to do that, that is true for every subject, unfortunately. I talk about a subject that I know, you can see. For example, if you look at the cost accounting and financial management paper, I don't think anybody can answer that in 2 hours 45 minutes. It's just 3 hours, it's just not possible. I think some parts of SFM are also like that. But that is how our institute works. We just don't see, there is a saying in English, it says what cannot be cured has to be endured. You can't do much about it. Whatever you tell, it is not happening. But I am 100% with you. I don't know about tax, but I am 100% with you that some question papers are not answerable in 3 hours. So you have to just work on it.
And second question to rankers is, while the journey out of 8 papers, you might have encountered 2 papers difficult, definitely. So how you have managed the 2 papers? I wanted to know. The tough papers.
You identify who should answer.
Anybody.
No, that we know, but who? You can say third from left, fourth from right, whatever. Look at their faces.
Right side to use. That beside.
I think you asked the question to a wrong person. Because I am a person who panics a lot.
No, you have came here to advise us, no?
So I had a bad paper. I told it already. It was advanced accounting. So I think what's important is, see, you have 8 papers continuously. So in between, when one paper goes difficult and you go down, that's very tough thing to manage according to me during exam, because you have to maintain your peace of mind and calmness, because within next one day you have to gear up for the next one. So I think you should just stay in the process. It's okay, don't think you will pass or fail. Ultimately what will happen? You will either pass or you will either fail. Just have this attitude during exam, not during preparation. During exam, just have this attitude so that you don't panic, that's it. Okay, just you're aware of the result. Now you lead a pass or you lead a fail. Okay, so just chill. Forget that you wrote this paper and go ahead, because the worst thing that you can do is quit in between because you found one paper difficult. So that's, I think.
Okay, so answering your question, instead of, suppose for example, she told her paper 5 didn't go really well. So instead of thinking that, hey, if I flunked this subject, what's the use of writing the other 3 subjects? Think that, let me do better in the other 3 subjects so that I get an exemption and I don't have, even if I, bad luck happens or whatever, and I don't clear this particular paper, the other 3 papers I wouldn't have to write the next time because I did much better in those subjects, I got an exemption. So have that thinking.
Just to paraphrase what I told you about that student who said, what I don't prepare will not come in the exam. Maybe what you must think is, if I'm going to fail, all these guys are going to fail in the exam. And I'm serious. And that the institute cannot fail everybody. You cannot announce 0%.
I am not a ranker, but based on general this thing, see, if you before exam, while you are preparing, which are the difficult subjects, students will tend to keep it for last. Let me finish up all these 6 subjects. I'll read it up from last. That will not happen. Definitely, that will kill your confidence. Don't ever take it for last. Those 2 subjects you start early. Make it as a sandwich. Easy subjects when you are very get confident. read those subjects, another half you read this tough subject. Keep reading it and don't try to evaluate too much. This is the way for preparation. During exam, immediately after your exam, you should never discuss with any of your friends. You start evaluating. What's your answer? What's my answer? How much? That you should never do. Just throw the paper. How is it? Chill out. Don't think about the exams. Just relax for some time. Focus for next paper. That is the funda for clearing. If you just start evaluating now, gone. You will not write next paper. You will not write. Don't do that. Forget about this. See, I see people, they have done very bad in one subject. First of all, first paper accounting or costing, first group accounting, second group costing. Generally, they will catch hold of first question, no? Gone. 1.5 to 2 hours, you will be doing that question only. Don't do that. Start with easiest question. Easiest question. Even for 5 marks, 3 marks, no problem. Start with easiest question. Because moment you enter for the exam, you will be highly tense. In that tension, if you take the first question or something very tricky question, your tension will go up more. You will tend to forget everything what you know also. Take a easy question, cool down for half an hour. Just do small questions for half an hour, 1 hour. Once you relax now, you can attempt any other question. That's not at all a problem. Don't try for first question or tricky question. Write simplest question, cool down. That 30 minutes matters. Moment you enter exam, that 30 minutes you calm down, your mindset has to come common. Just as you reading for regular listening. That status comes now, you can write any paper. That is for exam. While preparation, I told you, you make it as a sandwich. Very easiest paper and tough subject. You start preparing like that, you can do better.
Just to add one more thing, as you mentioned, each group has one paper which is difficult. And trust me, I say not make all papers difficult. If they're giving one paper difficult, there are 3 papers in your hand where you can fetch really good marks. And trust me, they make it very simple, those remaining 3. Generally, people find audit in group 1 difficult and tax in group 2 difficult. Yeah, I think yours. So rather than focus on the difficult paper, think about the chance where you can actually score well in the remaining papers to comp off this loss of the difficult subject. And one more thing, just to add, CA is also about mind. It plays a lot of it tricks your mind. It's about how well you manage your mind. Trust me, usually you would see the question paper, the first question is difficult, and you would start assuming the next one is difficult, the next one is difficult. Trust me, that's not the case. Generally, the first question is difficult to trick you how well you can manage the remaining paper. If you're not confident in the first question, ignore it for the moment. Focus on the easier ones. Write the easier ones, finish the easier ones. Trust me, even the difficult ones will start looking easier at that point of time. That's one advice.
And another thing about your approach. Now, see, a lot of people say CA is very different from school. And they always give this example, like if you were a topper in school, you don't necessarily have to be a topper in CA. Now, I don't completely agree with that statement to the extent that, see, you've been writing exams since 4th standard. You know how this works. You know the process that you have to study. You have to cover everything. You have to go to the exam. You have to do it. So don't think that CA is something beyond your control or something really different. It is just an exam. So if you believe in the process, if you know what you're doing, if you've understood the concept, then obviously even in the pressure you will be able to answer. Maybe the stakes are higher, maybe the questions are more difficult, but just approach the process how you did in school. Like I feel a lot of people try to immediately change whatever they've done, whatever they've believed in all their life, just for this 8 to 9 months. And trust me, it backfires. So in school, let's say you used to revise a certain way. Your brain is used to that pattern of revision. So if it works for you, then please continue it. Don't just change your entire methodology because someone said something else works. So if you find a subject difficult, then approach it how you approached it in school. I bet you would have done really well anyway.
How did you use that extra 15 minutes? given while selecting the answers. Okay, this is how I use the 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes of every paper were to select the first best question which I could answer. It could be the best question which you're sure to get full marks. So it also helps to build an image in the evaluator's mind. Yeah, you're sure of the paper, you're confident to write the paper. So the first 15 minutes, read the entire questions of the entire paper and pick the question which you are really confident of answering as the first question. And that would take about 10 minutes of your time. In the last 5 minutes of reading time, frame the answer of the first question you're about to write in your mind, so that as soon as the bell rings, you're about to write the first question confidently. And trust me, once you write the first question confidently, that will calm your nerves a lot down, and the next questions will go on much more smoothly.
Also, don't panic if you can't answer the entire 15 marks on 15 marks. So, when you're prioritizing the next questions, go like this. Okay, this I know 13 marks worth, this I know 10 marks worth. So, go like that. So, don't panic when you don't know something. Rather, focus on what you do know and choose the options accordingly. This analysis has to be done in the 15 minutes.
Small. There are, I know two kinds of people who just chill before exams 1 hour before, and who will be studying like a lot. Full subject they will try to cover within 1 hour, before 1 hour of exam. After 1 hour they will start discussing the same question paper which they have. Is that correct? Because personally I will never do that. I will just chill with friends. After exam I will go outside and I will, after going home I will start studying. Which one do you feel it is correct? Even this Pattabhi sir I want to ask.
Don't ask anybody, okay? You're doing the right thing. Okay? Don't break your head 1 hour before exam. What can you really become in that last 1 hour? According to me, I don't know what time is the exam, 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock. If I were you, I would stop the previous night. I don't know whether that's the best thing, but if I were you, I would stop the previous night. And don't worry about people who do last minute reading, maybe they have not read enough. So I think what you're doing is right.
Generally, I will stop studying at 11:30.
11:30 previous night itself.
No. Before exam, 11:30 I will stop. And 6:30 I will start once again.
What do you mean about chill out?
Chill out in the sense we used to meet at some coffee shop. We'll discuss.
That chill out should not happen. Be calm, but don't pick up any. Okay, maybe talk. That's okay. Any argument of things. Okay, some old thing. No, nothing. Chill out. Be cool. Don't study for last hour. 11th hour study is not required. Be cool. Don't think too much about it, but don't talk too much also.
Just to be cool, I will just.
To be cool, don't discuss politics because those are the very
So,
this time you only answer.
Next week you will be sitting.
Otherwise.
I would like to ask, what was your target? Like, you might have targeted that I want to rank, but rank, for that also there is a target of score. How did you divide that score to subject wise? So much.
Okay, I wouldn't set any target as such. I would try whatever is my maximum and let me try it. Give it my maximum. If the paper is for 100 marks, let me try it for my 100 marks. My teacher had told me that if you are running in a race, are you going to stop at the 85th meter? Because I can run till 85. Will you be stopping at 85th meter? No. You will be running till the 100th meter, right? Even if you are coming the second, third, fourth, it doesn't matter. You are still trying to reach that. Same way. Try to achieve the whole 100. It is not your part to get the marks. Your only part is to write. Try the whole 100. Whatever you are getting is a part of the process. You just get it.
The last one question will be widening this question.
Yes, last question. My question is to Chairman sir, Srinivas sir. Sir, the subjects like SCMP and direct tax in final level, almost 40% of the suggested answers will be alternative answers. There will be alternative answers for 40% of the questions. So if I have to say to the examiner that there is alternative method to solve, how should I say and how to approach that alternative answer?
What's your name?
Anand.
Anand, be happy. Come after this session, I'll guide you. But I'm not a subject expert for teaching. Okay, generally I can help.
Yeah.
Come after this session. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for such a lovely participation. It has been a very great session for me personally as well. I have learned many things today, so I'll start planning my exam. I am writing my CA final in November, so we will also try to implement few takeaways from this. So, and it has been a very great opportunity for me. So, to learn from these people who have already secured ranks, and I am actually inspired, and I'd like to try my level best to get a rank and be back here. Today I've been here as a MC for the day. I'd like to be here. Now we request Pattabhi sir to honor our rank holders by giving them the
I request Vaibhav Jain to collect us moment. Aditya Bajaj. Kirtana Rao. Rachita Murthy.
I request chairperson also come on. Let's go.
Himanshi. Sanjay. I request chairperson to give the moment. Chairman. Chaitanya. Shreyas. Suhas.
Thank you everybody. I'd like to call upon CA Pattabhi to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. I hope the session was enlightening to all of you. Is it? I know you're all hungry, so so the voice is not coming so loud as I expected. After such an enlightening session, you should be more empowered and motivated. So, okay, thanks. So, as I said, it's a day of learning and lot of takeaways from today. So it has been a wonderful day, and thank you all for being here. First of all, I would like to thank our Chief Guest of the day, CA Pattabhi sir, who came down all the way from Chennai for accepting our invitation and saying that he's been here and then given a lot of tips. Whatever presentation sir did and spoke about, those are not just for the CA exams. I mean, for me, when I heard this, I felt that even I can adopt many of them in my life. It's not only for the career or anything. The most important thing what I think I would carry today is that it's okay to be a fool for 5 minutes, ask the question, get it clarified, and then move on. So you don't have to be a fool for the life. I think that's the most important thing. All of us, what we do most of the times is that we hesitate even to raise a hand. Somebody told me this example, like in a forum, they asked, saying, who wants this 1,000 rupee note? Everybody was like not hesitant to raise the hand to pick up that. Why? When you have an opportunity, take it. There's no, why should you hesitate? Same thing here. When there is an opportunity to learn, I think we should not hesitate. So that's the big takeaway from Pattabhi sir's session today for me. Of course, as students, you will have multiple things. So thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for being here. The colors to this session was added by the rankers. Fantastic. And each one of them are so well prepared and they know their subject. I mean, that is because they have experienced, they have gone through that. That's why they know what exactly, how they did. So each one of them spoke so well, and it was all connecting to what, it was not flying over your head. I'm sure all of you could connect because you had that experience. They're speaking out of their experience. So thank you each one of them, for each one of you for being here and helping these people to clear. And as I said, there will be many people who will be wanting to, aspiring to be here. I want to see most of you here next time. And thank you all of you for this. Thank you very much. So one thing was clear throughout the session. There's no one formula for success, whether it is in CA final or it is in life. Success is what you build, and based on the attitude what you build throughout. And therefore, and of course it's a combination of hard work, luck, smart work, everything, all those together, but then finally there's no one formula. What works for me may not work for the other person, and what works for the other person doesn't work for me. So you will have to determine what works for you throughout your preparation. Definitely that Yudhakale Shastrabhyasa, that doesn't work. In CA especially, no, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't work anywhere, but CA, yes. So therefore, you guys make sure that you prepare well and then go through the exam confidently and calmly. Most important is that, the 2 C's, please do not forget those 2 C's. So thank you so much for all of you taking your time out and then coming here, being here and making this program successful. I hope this has been very, very helpful and insightful for all of you. Thank you so much.
A special thanks for Sikasa team, Sikasa chairperson Kavita and their team. They done exceedingly well to organize this program. Give them a big round of applause. And also all the staff who coordinated this program, give them a big round of applause.
I'll complete. Sorry. So of course, the chairman of the branch, as I mentioned, the program can be initiated only with this guidance. So I thank him for sparing his time for all of you and being here throughout the session today. So thank you so much, sir, for being here. Most important support, my back-end support, any program we are organizing, the back-end support. First thing is Maunesh, who is there. Anything I want to do, first I start with him saying I want a brochure to be done, and this guy is there anytime, anything, and everything comes just like it. I tell him this and then it comes. Thank you, Maunesh, for being there, and he is also the office director of Sikasa. And the banner, whatever prospects you see, the brochures is all designed by him, and thank you so much for you there. And the MC team, Pavna and Aditya, when I told them that I want you guys to come and do this program, handle this program, they immediately, without blinking their eyes, they said, yes, we are there, we will do it. Thank you. I know you had work commitments, but still you made it. Thank you so much. this wouldn't be possible without the backbone of this office, this institution, and that is the employees here. Each one of them are so, they know their thing, the clockwork precision with which they work and then do things. That is what gives us the confidence to take any program on. And thank you each one of the staff members here for this. And of course, I have CP Jain, who is a managing committee member, who has come here and been present. Thank you, CP Jain, for being here. Thank you all. And we have, of course, CA Ram sir is there. Sorry, he has been throughout the session, and then definitely, all of you know him very well. So thank you for being here, sir. Thank you. So we have organized a lunch. Request all of you to.
I request all the students to give a standing ovation to Pattabhi Ram sir. Under his guidance, lot of CAs has been qualified. He has written n number of books, but is very down to earth and not show up. He is not allowed to read out his full profile. Give him a standing ovation. Thank you all.
We'll all raise for national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल